And that's your latest weather.
All right. Well, it is no understatement to say we're in the presence of a true music legend.
Yeah.
Yours paused. He turned around.
What do you want him to say?
No, he looked around. He looked behind him. It's Neil Diamond, whose career has spanned more than 5 decades, and he's still, of course, making music, including on the Plaza this morning.
Neil's 32 album comes out 30.
Get ready to rethink everything you know about Neil Diamond's iconic Sweet Caroline. This feel-good anthem has pumped up stadiums and packed dance floors for decades, but it hides a jaw-dropping secret that'll blow your mind. For nearly 40 years, the true story behind the song's inspiration was locked away, sparking wild debates about creativity and innocence. Stay tuned as we reveal Neil Diamond's shocking confession about who he wrote Sweet Caroline for. The Memphis motel room revelation.
I had Caroline Kennedy's name there from years ago in one of my books, and I tried Sweet Caroline. That works. It didn't work with Marcia, so I couldn't tell her that I dedicated the song to her. It was almost...
The year was 1969, and Neil Diamond found himself in a cramped Memphis hotel room, the weight of his recording session at American Sound Studio pressing down upon him. The legendary studio on Thomas Street was at the height of its powers, having already produced over 120 chart hits and establishing itself as one of the most sought-after recording destinations in America. Producer Chips Moman had assembled what would become known as the Memphis Boys, a house band so talented that at one point, 25% of Billboard's Hot 100 featured their backing. Diamond was supposed to record 3 songs during his session, but as the night wore on, he realized he was 1 track short. In what he would later describe as a moment of pure desperation, the Brooklyn-born songwriter sat alone in his modest accommodations, knowing his career might depend on what happened next. Quote, "That song was like a lucky gift that I got," Diamond told Billboard years later, explaining how Sweet Caroline came to him when he needed it most desperately. Quote, "I was about to go hungry. I had a new baby, all kinds of things that had counted on this record." The creative process that followed was unlike anything Diamond had experienced before or since. Unlike his other compositions, which typically required careful planning and multiple revisions, Sweet Caroline emerged fully formed in approximately 30 minutes. Quote, "The whole thing took about a half hour," he revealed on the Today Show in 2014. "When I wrote the song, I thought, this is some kind of magic that happened." Diamond later reflected that the song possessed an almost divine quality, describing it as having a little bit of God within its structure. The next morning, Diamond brought this hastily written composition to American Sound Studio, where the Memphis Boys transformed his simple melody into something extraordinary. The session was produced by Chips Moman, the legendary figure who had already guided Elvis Presley through his comeback recordings and helped establish the distinctive Memphis sound. The recording featured Wayne Jackson's trumpet work as part of the Memphis horns, including the iconic brass elements that became synonymous with the song. The Kennedy connection emerges. For 38 years following the song's release, Diamond maintained strict silence about the true inspiration behind Sweet Caroline. The mystery deepened as the song gained popularity, particularly after it became a beloved tradition at Boston Red Sox games starting in 1997. Speculation ran rampant about the identity of the mysterious Caroline, with various theories emerging but none confirmed by the songwriter himself. The first major revelation came in November 2007, when Diamond finally broke his decades-long silence during an interview with the Associated Press. Quote, "I've never discussed it with anybody before, intentionally," the then 66-year-old singer-songwriter revealed during a break from recording. "I thought maybe I would tell it to Caroline when I met her someday." The opportunity had presented itself just weeks earlier, when Diamond performed the song via satellite at Caroline Kennedy Schlossberg's 50th birthday party. The performance marked not only the first time Diamond had publicly connected the song to the former first daughter, but also the moment when one of music's greatest mysteries was finally solved. Kennedy herself was reportedly struck by it and really happy to learn of her connection to the beloved anthem. Diamond's explanation painted a picture of artistic inspiration striking at an unexpected moment. He described being a young, broke songwriter in the early 60s when he encountered a photograph of Caroline Kennedy in a news magazine. Quote, "It was a picture of a little girl dressed to the nines in her riding gear next to her pony," Diamond recalled with vivid detail. "It was such an innocent, wonderful picture. I immediately felt there was a song there." The image had remained in his mind for approximately 5 years before finding its way into the Memphis hotel room where Sweet Caroline was born. Diamond explained the photograph had represented something pure and hopeful to him, capturing a moment of childhood innocence that seemed worth preserving in a song. Quote, "It was a #1 record and probably is the biggest, most important song of my career," he acknowledged, "and I have to thank her for the inspiration." The Marcia Murphy contradiction. Just 7 years after his Caroline Kennedy revelation, Diamond delivered another bombshell that completely reframed the Sweet Caroline story. During a 2014 appearance on NBC's Today Show, the songwriter provided an entirely different account of the song's inspiration. Quote, "I was writing a song in Memphis, Tennessee for a session. I needed a 3-syllable name," he explained to the Today Show hosts. "The song was about my wife at the time. Her name was Marcia, and I couldn't get a Marcia rhyme." This revelation identified Marcia Murphy, whom Diamond married in December 1969, as the true subject of the song's romantic content. The new narrative painted Sweet Caroline as fundamentally a love song written for an adult woman, with Caroline Kennedy's contribution limited solely to providing a suitable name to fit the melody. Diamond described searching through his notebooks and finding Caroline Kennedy's name from years earlier, discovering that Sweet Caroline worked perfectly where Sweet Marcia had failed melodically. The explanation addressed one of the most troubling aspects of the Caroline Kennedy story, the distinctly romantic and physical nature of the song's lyrics, when considered in the context of a young child. The lines about hands touching hands, reaching out, touching me, touching you, and we filled it up with only 2, had raised uncomfortable questions about Diamond's inspiration. Music critics and fans had struggled to reconcile these adult themes with the image of an 11-year-old girl, leading to widespread speculation about the appropriateness of Diamond's admitted inspiration. The Marcia Murphy explanation provided a more palatable interpretation, suggesting the song's content reflected Diamond's relationship with his wife, while Caroline Kennedy had merely provided a phonetically suitable name. The controversy and cultural impact. The dual explanations for Sweet Caroline's inspiration sparked intense debate within music circles and among Diamond's fan base. Critics pointed out significant inconsistencies in his timeline, noting that he didn't marry Marcia Murphy until December 1969, months after the song was written and recorded. Others questioned why Diamond had waited until 2014 to mention Murphy's role, particularly given the uncomfortable scrutiny his 2007 Caroline Kennedy revelation had generated. The controversy reached beyond academic music discussions when Penn State University briefly removed Sweet Caroline from their football game playlist in 2012. University officials cited concerns that the song's "Touching Me, Touching You" lyrics might be deemed inappropriate in the wake of the Jerry Sandusky child abuse scandal. While Penn State later clarified the removal was part of the routine playlist updates rather than scandal-related sensitivity, the incident highlighted how Diamond's Caroline Kennedy connection had created lasting questions about the song's appropriateness. Sweet Caroline's enduring legacy. Despite the controversies, Sweet Caroline continued to achieve remarkable cultural significance throughout the decades. The song's association with the Boston Red Sox proved particularly powerful, especially during moments of civic crisis and celebration. Following the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing, Diamond made a spontaneous trip to Fenway Park to lead the crowd in an emotional rendition of the song. Now it's time to hear from you. Does knowing the truth about its inspiration change how you experience this cultural phenomenon? Let us know in the comments section below.